Hey, good morning, everybody. How's it going? Thank you so much for coming by today, guys. I hope that you all are having a really great morning. I think we're going to have some fun this week here, week 5 fantasy football. We're going to be talking about fantasy football this morning. So, yeah, go ahead, leave your comments there on the right-hand side of the screen. There is a comment section. You guys can answer or ask your questions there, and I would be glad to answer them for you. If you guys would do me a favor and tweet out this stream, I would really, really appreciate that so much. I'm going to be tweeting it out here in just a moment. If you guys would tweet out that stream, I would truly appreciate it. Once again, thank you so much for coming by today, guys. We're going to be talking, like I said, fantasy football this morning. And yes, we are live, everybody. So this is not a recorded video, unless you're watching it after the fact, of course. What's up, Reverb? Thanks for coming by, my friend. Just going to be taking a look this morning at some of the inactives lists as they come out. We're going to be talking about rankings. I do also have a link to my week 5 cheat sheet. This is what I typically use. Now, some of this stuff, unfortunately, is not 100% up to date because, you know, there have been different starts and sits and things like that since I actually created the list on Thursday. You know, stuff where guys are going to be out or active, you know, whatever the case might be. For the most part, it's pretty close to what I think. You know, obviously, I think guys like maybe Thomas Rawls probably moves up a little bit right now. I know Fred Jackson's going to play, but it does sound like he might be a little bit limited. Other guys potentially, I'm trying to think here, that might be affected. You know, obviously the Bears wide receivers. I actually think it doesn't sound, and I'll have to double check on this, but it doesn't sound like Eddie Royal or Alshon Jeffrey is going to play today. And this is a great matchup for the Bears on passing. So I feel like maybe we could look at somebody like Marcus Wilson potentially in that situation, depending on, you know, how desperate you are, of course. And then obviously we've got Boobie Dixon, who's going to be starting for the Bills. I think that's the big one. I think that's probably the one where I don't really have him probably ranked where I should. I have him ranked 27th right now. I think that probably goes up a little bit maybe, though I look at some of the names in front of him, and I don't know that I would play him up ahead of many of those guys. Obviously, Marshawn Lynch is out, so, you know, the rankings, again, aren't 100% up to date as far as injury situations go, but that should give you guys at least a rough estimate of what my opinions are regarding some of these guys. So thank you again for coming by today, guys. We're going to get things started right away. Reverb was the first guy in here, and he is the first one to ask a question as well. The question that he asked is in regards to his running back slot. He's asking who should I play between Dion Lewis and Todd Gurley. So I think this is a great question because it's kind of a matter of what you really need. If you're in a standard league, which you said that you are, I think that hurts Dion Lewis a little bit. It might help Todd Gurley even a little bit, but I still feel like I would probably go with Dion Lewis. I think it's the safer option. The Cowboys' run defense really isn't very good. In general, their defense isn't very good. Todd Gurley against the Packers, it's very possible the Packers get out to a decent lead in this game. If they're up 14 or something in the second half, it's going to be very, very hard for the Rams to run the football. So I feel like this is kind of a potential trap situation for those who really like Todd Gurley. I don't like the Packers' defense, but I like their offense enough that I think it hurts running backs, if that makes sense. So I'm going to say Dion Lewis in that situation, and especially if it were a PPR, I'd be even stronger on that opinion. Noisy Fish asked a question regarding my Madden streams. He says, when will you start up pink slips for Madden 16? Well, that's actually a really great question. I'm thinking that I'll probably start it next Saturday because, of course, it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Maybe what we can do is do like a charity stream type of a thing where I play against you guys. Maybe we do like, I don't know, 50,000 coins or something like that per game. Or maybe something like that if you guys would be interested in that. I know I've got like, I don't know, 1.4 million or something like that I think right now. So if we did like a 50,000 coin wager game where I play you guys, and I'm sorry guys if you don't have any care about Madden. I'm sure most of you do if you follow my channel. But if we do like a 50,000 coin game for each game, maybe that would be something that would be cool, and we could maybe make it like a full afternoon type of thing, maybe like a 4 or 5 hour stream potentially, depending on what my schedule looks like. So I'll let you guys know sometime this week what the plan is as far as that goes. Next question comes from Raul Villanueva. Thanks for coming by again today, man. I appreciate it. I know you always stop by in the stream, and I know you retweeted the stream as well, so thank you so much for that. I will definitely answer your question here. So we got Tyrod Taylor or Sam Bradford. I think this is actually closer than a lot of people might assume. I actually have them ranked back-to-back. Obviously, Tyrod Taylor has outplayed Sam Bradford. The problem is that Sammy Watkins might not play again today. It's looking like kind of a rough situation there. And honestly, Tennessee's secondary is not that bad either. So I think there's a real potential here that Tyrod Taylor does not have a lot of passing yardage in this one. So, I think that's a little bit risky. Sam Bradford's obviously been the worst player thus far. So, if we were just going off of their track record as of late, I would probably be looking at playing Tyrod Taylor. But I think you could potentially sneak Sam Bradford in there. Again, I have them ranked back-to-back, so I don't have a real strong opinion on this one. I would probably go with Tyrod Taylor because of the rushing potential that he brings to the game. But like I said, it's so close, man. It could really go either way. Next question comes from Benji Man. He asks, Kamar Aiken or Allen Hurns? Now, this is one I think that is even a little bit closer than people would expect as well. Both these guys are, have kind of been elevated into fantasy prominence over the past week. I'm actually going to go with Allen Hurns here against Tampa Bay because Allen Hurns is a guy that got targeted a bunch this past week. Now, obviously, I do expect Allen Robinson will be the Allen of Blake Bortles' eyes going forward, but I still think that Allen Hurns has some potential value here, and this is a good matchup. Kamar Aiken might be lined up against Joe Hayden. I'm not sure. I haven't seen the inactive list as far as the Cleveland Browns go, and if Kamar Aiken's lined up against Joe Hayden, I think that's pretty rough. Hayden is the kind of guy that will line up straight up against the number one wide receiver on the other team, so he could certainly be on Aiken most of the day, and that would make things very, very difficult. Next question comes from, again, from Benji Man, and he asks, Alex Smith or Tyrod Taylor? I think this one's a little bit easier. I'm definitely going to go with Tyrod Taylor in that case. I just feel like Alex Smith doesn't really have a high upside. I mean, I know the Browns' defense is trash, or not the Browns, the Bears' defense is trash. I get it, but I still feel like Alex Smith's real upside is, maybe 275 yards and 2 touchdowns, which isn't bad, but I don't think it's as high as Tyrod Taylor's, where he could, potentially put up that type of passing yardage along with 50, 60 yards rushing and maybe a touchdown rushing as well. So I think the upside with Tyrod Taylor is a little bit better. And I still think his floor is fairly good as well, because I think there's kind of a minimum limit on how much he's going to run, and I think that helps him out. Sammy Watkins, I'm assuming, or Boobie Dixon. This is from Matthew Becker. He wants to know that. You got to go with Boobie Dixon because we don't know for sure even that Sammy Watkins is going to play at the moment. I'll have to double-check the inactives lists as they come out while we're doing the stream today. I don't think that they have officially said whether Sammy Watkins is going to play, but I don't think it's looking very, very likely right now. Let me double-check here. Yeah, despite being listed as questionable, Sammy Watkins is not expected to play, so you've got to go, I think, with Boobie Dixon this morning. So, yeah, we're going to go Boobie Dixon there. Good question. Next one, Eli Manning. This is from IITrixZZX. He asks, Eli Manning, Matt Stafford, Jay Cutler, or Alex Smith? So this week, obviously I think it's dependent on week-to-week matchups as far as these go with these guys. I'm going to go with Eli Manning here. I think San Francisco's defense is kind of ugly right now, and Eli's been fairly decent. He's had some down games, but I think he's been fairly consistent. So we're going to go with him. I feel like the other guys have a real bust potential today. All of them, frankly, have a real bust potential other than Eli Manning. I would not be expecting him to have a bad game. He isn't necessarily going to have a huge game, but I do think he'll have a decent enough game. Next question, Ronnie Hillman, Devonta Freeman, or Todd Gurley? I mean, this one should be pretty obvious, I think, at this point. You should definitely go with the hot hand. In my opinion, that's Devonta Freeman. Now, I will say I think that Todd Gurley is higher up and is probably closer on my rankings than I might be indicating. But I feel like right now, taking the chance on Todd Gurley above Devonta Freeman is probably not something that I would do. So that's for Dakota Douglas. Next question. We already answered that one. Holy crap, guys. Let me see here. Please, if you guys would do me a favor, don't ask the same question 4 or 5 times so that I can get to all of them or as many of them as possible. It's kind of hard to keep track of all of them. Let's see here. Kamar Aiken or Marcus Wilson? I do like Marcus Wilson today. Great question. I think that his ranking does go up, but I am still going to go well, shit. You know what? Let's pay attention to what happens with Joe Hayden. I'm gonna quick put his name into Twitter. This is actually the best way to do it, honestly. If you guys are interested in knowing whether a player is going to play or not, this is the best way to do it, in my opinion. You just type their name into the Twitter search, and then you look at the recent tweets and find somebody that's at least decent to follow. So this one is coming from Browns Newswire, and a couple other sources are saying that Joe Hayden is going to play. So yeah, Kamar Aiken is probably going to be lined up a lot with Joe Hayden. So you know what? I'm going to go with Marcus Wilson. I feel like the upside is higher. Downside might also be higher as well, but you know what? Marcus Wilson, he is talented. Physically, he is talented. I talked about him as a preseason sleeper, and I still feel like that is possible that he could break out this season. Next question, start Julius Thomas. Okay, excuse me. Dakota Douglas asked another question. He asked Blake Bortles or Phillip Rivers. We're definitely going Phillip Rivers. He leads the league right now in passing yardage. And quite frankly, he looks very, very good right now. And Pittsburgh's defense isn't very good, so we're going to go with Phillip Rivers. Brandon Hall asks between Julius Thomas and Tyler Eifert. We're going to go Tyler Eifert right now. Not real confident that Julius Thomas is going to step in and immediately have chemistry in that offense. So I do like Tyler Eifert. Seattle's defense is good, but if there's one spot that they can be beat by, I think it is the tight end. Thomas Rawls, Alfred Morris, or Percy Harvin in a PPR league. Need to set my flex, he says. So based on it being a PPR league, I think that you've got a lot higher likelihood that I'm going to go with Percy Harvin here. I do think that Alfred Morris is being a little bit undervalued right now, but man, I don't know. I think it's between those two. I wouldn't probably play Thomas Rawls. I feel like his upside isn't great this week. This is a tough matchup against Cincinnati, man. Their front seven is very good. Alfred Morris could be somebody you could go with, but he might also be splitting carries 3 ways, which I never like. So I think that I'm probably going to go with Percy Harvin in a full PPR league. Alfred Morris is he's hurt too much in a non-PPR league. I think you got to go with Percy Harvin here. And especially with Watkins being out, he might get targeted more. Ryan Tannehill or Carson Palmer. This is coming from Mike Robertson. Mike, your question I think is a good one here this week. Look, normally I guess it would be a good question. Carson Palmer's obviously your starter here. You know, he's been a top 5 quarterback so far. Ryan Tannehill hasn't, and also, guys, I don't think Ryan Tannehill is not playing today. They're on a bye, I believe. So that should be a fairly easy question. I'm going to just double check, making sure off the top of my head here. Yeah, they don't play today. So Ryan Tannehill is definitely out in that one. Next question, standard scoring emergency running back, Boobie Dixon or Thomas Rawls. Jeez, man. Those are good good questions, because I think a lot of people are going to be in that type of a situation. You know, I am going to go with Anthony Dixon just because I feel like his upside is a little bit higher here. Tennessee's defense isn't spectacular, and Cincinnati's is pretty darn good against the run. So we're going to go with Boobie Dixon today. Thomas Rawls, Alfred Morris, or Percy Harvin in a PPR league. You already answered that one. Allen Robinson, John Brown, or Golden Tate. Pick 2. So I think Allen Robinson's in. against Tampa Bay. I think that's a great matchup for him. The other two, John Brown, I have ranked 24th, and Golden Tate, I have ranked 30th. So I'm going to go with John Brown. Allen Robinson or TJ Yeldon in your flex. I'm going to go, ooh, that one's close. If it's PPR, I'm going to go Allen Robinson for sure. I think you could go TJ Yeldon in a standard league. But, man, it's pretty close. But I'm going to go Allen Robinson, I think. CJ Anderson or Mark Ingram. Let's go Ingram. Just more consistent. Still, he's getting the touchdowns. Marcus Mariota or Andy Dalton or Russell Wilson. It's funny that we've gotten to that situation with Russell Wilson, isn't it? But oh man, I really do like Marcus Mariota today, probably higher than most people do, despite him playing against a good Buffalo defense. But I'm still going to go with Russell Wilson here, even against a tough Cincinnati defense. None of these guys have great matchups this week. Andy Dalton's against the Seahawks, really tough. Marcus Mariota against Buffalo is a really tough matchup. And then, of course, Russell Wilson against Cincinnati, I think that's going to be a tough matchup for him. So, yeah, I guess Russell Wilson is the guy. I think just as a baseline, I like him a little bit better because of his rushing. Larry Fitzgerald or Carlos Hyde in a PPR. Let's go with Larry Fitzgerald. He's just getting targeted a lot, and he's been very good. Josh McCown, I do like him a lot. Tanner Rennie, that's a good question. But you didn't ask specifically who should you start over him or whatever. But, yeah, I do like Josh McCown this week. I have him ranked fairly high against Baltimore. I have him ranked at number 13, which technically makes him a QB2. But somebody in your league might own a couple of those guys. So you might be in the situation where you're starting Josh McCown this week. I think the matchup against Baltimore is actually a decent one. Jordan Matthews or Leonard Hankerson. Let's go with Jordan Matthews. It's not a bad matchup there. I think I would prefer if New Orleans defense wasn't looking as good as they have against the pass, but I'm still going to probably go with Jordan Matthews, I feel like. Leonard Hankerson, kind of hit or miss, I feel like. Let's see here. From Dakota, he asks, Bortles or Rivers. Okay. Bortles or Rivers. Definitely Rivers. Pick two. Okay, we already answered that one as well. Mariota or Breeze. Definitely Breeze. You got to go with the good players. And Philly's defense hasn't looked great. They've been okay, but I still got to go with Drew Brees. Matt Stafford or Mike Vick. Man, that one's tough. I think you might have to go with Mike Vick. He's got an extra, week and a half to prepare for this game. So I feel like Vick's got a good opportunity here. Let's go with Mike Vick and just roll the dice, man. It's a tough matchup for Stafford against Arizona. Kamar Aiken or Kendall Wright. We're going to go Kendall Wright. That's for Jake Kelly. Little Snake G asks Marcus Mariota or Andy Dalton. I think we're going to go with the hot hand right now. Andy Dalton's been very, very good. I understand that Marcus Mariota's had an extra week to prepare for this game, but Bills' defense is pretty good, so we're going to go with Andy Dalton. Do I drop John Brown to start Antonio Andrews? Oh, my goodness. Well, if you have to take a 0 at your position, I think I probably would, but I would not. No, you're not. Never mind. Arizona's not on a bye. No, I wouldn't do that. I would go with John Brown. I wouldn't want to drop him. Antonio Andrews, we just don't know what's going to happen with that running game. It could very well be Andrews, but it could also be a complete running back by committee, especially in a couple of weeks here when David Cobb gets back. I don't think that's a long-term proposition there for them. And I don't think the matchup's great either. Buffalo's defense is very, very good. Alex Smith or Blake Bortles. In this case, I'm going to go probably with Blake Bortles against Tampa Bay. I feel like they're going to be passing a lot. I do like Allen Hurns and Allen Robinson, and he's getting Julius Thomas back, who's a good red zone threat. So I think there's a decent potential here for Blake Bortles. Todd Gurley or Latavius Murray for your flex. Let's go with Todd Gurley, man. I know Latavius Murray has looked good, but I feel like the upside here is a little bit higher with Todd Gurley this week. Denver's defense is so darn good, and if St. Louis can stick around in the game against the Packers, he could have a nice game. Todd Gurley could have a nice game. So Latavius Murray against Denver, I don't really love that. I still have him ranked 12th as an RB1, but we're gonna go with Todd Gurley, I think, for that one. Good question though, Jack. Thank you for asking it. And guys, sorry if it feels like I'm taking a long time to answer your questions. You know, there's a lot of them that come in, and it does take me a few seconds to go through all of them. So, and people ask the same question 4, 5, 6 times. So, please don't do that if you're coming into the stream. Let's see here. DeMarco Murray, CJ Anderson, or Ronnie Hillman at RB2. Isn't it sad that it's gotten to that situation that we're really considering playing, you know, Ronnie Hillman? But, you know, I'm going to go with DeMarco Murray against New Orleans. I feel like this is the opportunity for DeMarco. If he doesn't do it this week, dude, it's going to be a rough season for DeMarco Murray. And as a Cowboys fan, I'm happy. Because, I mean, I wanted DeMarco to succeed, but I don't want the Eagles to succeed. I still like DeMarco as a Cowboys fan. But, yeah, we're going to go with DeMarco Murray. I feel like the upside is pretty solid for him. And we have less question marks, I feel like, about him than we do who's going to get the ball between C.J. Anderson and Ronnie Hillman. Antonio Andrews or Duke Johnson Jr. in a standard scoring league. I mean, Duke Johnson would definitely be helped out more in a PPR league, but they have made a pretty big commitment, it sounds like, to getting him the ball. So, you know what, man? I'm going to go with Duke Johnson, I think. Yeah, I'm going to go with Duke Johnson, even in a standard league. I feel like he's a decent play this week. He looked good last week as well. Thomas Rolls, Alfred Morris. Okay, I think I've answered that one already. Yes, I have. So please don't ask the same questions like 6 times, guys. Do I drop, or let's see here. Trying to get through these here, guys. Alex Smith or Blake Bortles, we already answered that one. Who would do a duck for Mike Vick? I don't know what that means. Okay, Delaney Walker or Julius Thomas. This was from Platinum March. Good question. I'm going to still go with Delaney Walker until we see what happens with Julius Thomas in this offense, though. So I think it helps Blake Bortles a little bit with Julius Thomas, but I'm probably not starting Julius Thomas unless I've got, like, you know, Larry Donnell level players. I feel like Delaney Walker is a solid tight end. Tom Brady or Luke McCown? I wonder. Definitely Tom Brady. Need one of them for my wide receiver spot. Golden Tate versus Arizona, Amari Cooper versus Denver, Brandon Cooks versus Philadelphia, or Terrence Williams versus New England. Let's go Brandon Cooks. I feel like the upside's best with him. Peyton Manning or Tyrod Taylor? Definitely Peyton Manning. Oakland's defense is not good. This is a good matchup for Peyton. He should be able to have a good game. Pick 2, Allen Robinson, John Brown, or Golden Tate. We're going to go John Brown and Allen Robinson. Pick 2 in a full PPR league. Duke Johnson, TJ Yeldon, and Melvin Gordon. Dude, this is a really close one. Because I do feel like TJ Yeldon's got to be your guy here. I feel like you got to go with TJ Yeldon. And then it's between Duke Johnson or Melvin Gordon. And both of them were pretty good this past week. Well, I take that back. Duke Johnson was quite a bit better. Melvin Gordon, you know what? In a full PPR league, which is what you said, I am going to go with Duke Johnson above Melvin Gordon this week. I feel like he's got the higher upside to get, you know, 5, 6 catches, and also probably the higher floor right now. So let's go with Duke Johnson and TJ Yeldon as our running backs for you, Ian. Next question comes from Jack Sutton, and he asks Antonio Gates or Owen Daniels at tight end in a standard scoring league. Let's go with Antonio Gates. He's back. He's he's not unhealthy. This was just a suspension situation, so I feel like he's going to step right in and perform. I'm not worried about Antonio Gates. Who's better at flex, AJ Green versus the Seahawks, or Amir Abdullah or Brandon Cooks? You know, I understand the hesitation to play AJ Green, but the bottom line is that Richard Sherman doesn't line up on the number 1 wide receiver. That's not what happens in the Seattle defense, which means that he does get lined up against these other guys in this secondary, and the other guys are okay, but they're not Richard Sherman. And you know, at the end of the day, even if Richard Sherman was lined up on AJ Green every single play, if we knew that, I would still start AJ Green. So yeah, I'm gonna go with AJ Green. I think he's got a great upside. You know, he really does. He's got potential to be the number 1 wide receiver every single week, so it makes it very tough to stop or to not play him. Let's see here. Alex Smith or Blake Bortles for FanDuel. Definitely Blake Bortles. Peyton Manning or Carson Palmer. That's closer, but I'm still going to go with Carson Palmer. Detroit's defense is not looking like they did last year. They're looking like an average defense, so we're going to go with the guy who's been really hot, and that's Carson Palmer. Julius Thomas or Tyler Eifert. I think we already answered that one. That we're going to go with Tyler Eifert. Let's see here. Let's see here. Anquan Boldin or Tavon Austin? Another good question. I'm going to go with Anquan Boldin. I'm not a believer in Tavon Austin. Not a believer. Healthy Darren McFadden or a probable Duke Johnson? Definitely we're going to go Duke Johnson here, I feel like. Yeah, Darren McFadden, he's supposed to play more third downs, it sounds like, but we don't know. We'll see. Quickly pick two. I already did that one. Rams defense or Packers defense? I don't really do defensive questions, but just, yeah, we're going to go with the Packers defense. Yeah. Rams defense doesn't have much of an upside against Aaron Rodgers. He just doesn't throw picks. He just doesn't. So, yeah, definitely the Packers defense. Matt Ryan or Matt Stafford? I'm going to go with Matt Ryan. I feel like against Washington, he's got a great potential to put up good points. Washington's run defense is a lot better than their pass defense. Julio Jones is going to play, so let's go with Matt Ryan. Phillip Rivers or Peyton Manning? Good question. I have them ranked back-to-back. I am going to go Phillip Rivers here, though. Let's see here. AJ Green, Brandon Cooks, or Amir Abdullah at flex. Again, we're going to go with AJ Green. PPR flex. Keenan Allen, I'm assuming Mike Evans, Travis Benjamin. Okay, you said Keenan Evans, so I'm going to assume it's Mike Evans, Travis Benjamin, or Keenan Allen. It's not Travis Benjamin out of that group. It's definitely between Mike Evans and Keenan Allen, and I am going to go with Keenan Allen against Pittsburgh. Definitely a good matchup for him. He should have a nice day today, guys. Giovanni Bernard or Jeremy Hill? In a standard scoring, I'm still probably going Jeremy Hill. In a PPR, I'm probably going Gio Bernard. I think they're ranked pretty close to one another, and for good reason. Antonio Brown or Mark Ingram at flex? Man, I really wish that Antonio Brown had a great great quarterback playing right now. I wish he had Big Ben, because then it would be Antonio Brown. But right now, I think you got to go Mark Ingram. Man. PPR flex. Jamal Charles, Devonta Freeman, or Justin Forsett? Well, you said pick three, so I'm going to pick all three of them. Jamal Charles, Justin Forsett, and Devonta Freeman. I don't know. Maybe you're saying pick two. In that case, we're going to go Jamal Charles as my number one running back this week. And Forsett and Freeman, I have them ranked really close to one another. I'm going to go... in a full PPR, I would go with Justin Forsett. I would probably go with Justin Forsett. Kendall Wright or Jordan Matthews? Jordan Matthews this week. Cutler, Foles, Vic, or Bortles in a standard scoring league. Oh, man. Those are some dirty players. Let's go with Blake Bortles. It sounds like I'm like a Blake Bortles lover or something, but, this is a good matchup for Bortles against Tampa Bay. Their defense is trash, and he's been okay. Okay, you have two questions. Oh, okay. Should I start Amari Cooper versus Denver? This is for RJ Ramirez. Depends on who your other options are. He's the most talented player in that passing game, so I would probably say you're not likely to have many guys that are better than him, but you might. I don't know. It's hard for me to know without knowing who else is on your roster. Hey, Clickwood, I have two questions. Jordan Matthews, Allen Robinson, or Leonard Hankerson? Definitely Jordan Matthews out of that grouping. I do like Allen Robinson a lot this week as well, but Jordan Matthews against New Orleans has pretty good potential here. And then Todd Gurley or Latavius Murray. We're going to go with Gurley. Standard scoring definitely helps out Gurley, I think, as well. So let's go with him. Calvin Johnson or Tavon Austin in a standard league? Definitely Calvin, man. You don't sit Calvin. We still don't sit Calvin. I understand he's been a little bit disappointing, but if you're in a PPR league, he's putting up 25 catches in his past 3 games. It's pretty solid, man. There's really not anything to complain about as far as that goes. His baseline is so good because he gets targeted so much. So he's got a way higher floor than Tavon Austin does. And I feel like his ceiling is higher too. So definitely Calvin Johnson there. Don't sit Calvin for bums like Tavon Austin, please. Even if Tavon Austin outscores Calvin, it's not going to be by that much. It's really not. So don't play him. And Tavon Austin could very well get you 1 catch this week. You know, that's just the guy who he is. Doug Baldwin or Ronnie Hillman as your flex. You know what? Let's roll the dice and go with Hillman. Alfred Morris or Thomas Rawls. God, I'm going to go with Thomas Rawls. I know my rankings probably don't say that because they weren't really 100% updated with the Seattle running back situation because I still had Marshawn Lynch in there. So with Thomas Rawls being the starter, we're going to go with him over Alfred Morris. The Alfred Morris situation, he might split carries between him, Chris Thompson, and Matt Jones, and that's just not a good situation for a running back for fantasy. Devonta Freeman or Bill Cosby. If you're in a fantasy rape league, I would go with... No, I'm just joking. Devonta Freeman is a stud, obviously, and I think he's joking. Let's see here. John Brown or pick up Antonio Andrews. Would you please stop spamming that? Please. Benji, man, I don't want to have to ban you, dude, but you've literally spammed that like 50 times. You got to stop. Devonta Freeman or Gio Bernard, and I've answered it like 15 different times. Again, it's John Brown over Antonio Andrews. Devonta Freeman or Gio Bernard, definitely Devonta Freeman. He's not really splitting carries. Well, Tevin Coleman's coming back, but I still think Devonta Freeman is going to get plenty of touches. Antonio Brown or Mark Ingram, again, Antonio Brown. DeMarco Murray, Ronnie Hillman, or C.J. Anderson. We already answered this one as well. Guys, have a little bit of patience, please. I'm reading through all of them. Just try and have a little bit of patience, and I'll do my best to get to all your questions. Please don't spam them 15 times into the chat, because otherwise it's very difficult for me to get to them. I have to read through 10 of your same questions before I can get to another one, and that's the thing that actually makes us delayed. So please help me out. Don't ask the same question 15 times. Ask it once. If I don't answer it in the next couple of minutes, ask it twice. I will get to it between one of those two, I promise. I'm not going to miss it twice. John Brown or Ruben Randall? John Brown, I feel like, is still your guy. Doug Baldwin or Ronnie Hillman? Hillman for Vikings fan. Thanks for coming by, Vikings fan. I appreciate it, man. Thank you, all of you guys, for coming by this afternoon, this morning, whatever it is for you. We've still got about 15, 20 minutes here of the show before we get to actually the game starting this morning. Anquan Bolden or Tavon Austin? Anquan Bolden. Kendall Wright or Kamar Aiken? Kendall Wright. Peyton Manning or Tyrod Taylor? Peyton Manning. We're not going to answer any sort of kicker questions. Don't own 2 kickers. You own 1 kicker, period, on your fantasy roster. Don't fuck around with 2 kickers. It's ridiculous to do that. Is Antonio Gates starting today? He is. He's not injured. He was on suspension. So, yes, he is starting today, and he is fully healthy. Justin Forsett or Allen Robinson in a half PPR. These guys are actually ranked probably pretty close for me. Let me double check and see. I think that I probably have the running back ranked higher. I do. And that's typically how it's going to be for me, even in a full PPR. You said it's half PPR, which is what my rankings are, so you're in luck. I have Justin Forsett ranked 10th overall at flex, so we're going to go with Justin Forsett. Should I start Amari Cooper? He's playing against Denver again. Got to know your other options, man. Dalton or Cousins? Dalton. Rodgers or Bradford? Definitely Rodgers. We don't bench Aaron Rodgers. We don't even roster a backup quarterback until your bye week. And then you pick somebody up for 1 week and then you drop them. You play Aaron Rodgers every single week, guys. Don't overthink it. Let's see here. Drew Brees or Sam Bradford? Drew Brees. Tavon Austin or Percy Harvin? Harvin today because Sammy Watkins, I'm not sure what's going on with him. Let me double check. Let's see here. Let's just double check and make sure. Yeah, he's not expected to play, so it doesn't sound like he's probably going to play. So yeah, we're gonna go with Percy Harvin because Sammy Watkins is probably not going to play. Tyrod Taylor or Jameis Winston? Definitely Tyrod Taylor, although I think this could be a breakout game for Jameis Winston. I still feel like Taylor has the higher upside. Falcons at Washington. I'm a Falcons fan, okay? Half point per reception. Ruben Randall, Martavis Bryant, or John Brown. It does not sound like Martavis Bryant is going to play, guys, so make sure Martavis Bryant's not in your lineup. I know it sucks. He got suspended, and then now he's hurt. Like, what the hell happened? I don't understand how that's even possible. He had to have gotten injured in practice, I guess. But we're going to go with John Brown here. Amir Abdullah or Jeremy Hill? We've got to go with Jeremy Hill. The Lions' run game looks horrible right now. Amir Abdullah or Duke Johnson? Again, probably Duke Johnson, as disgusting as that sounds. Leonard Hankerson or Tavon Austin? Hankerson. Chris Johnson or Andre Ellington? We're going to go with Chris Johnson this week, and I know Andre Ellington is coming back, but I still feel like they're going to wait to kind of put him fully into the offense. Frankly, Chris Johnson's looked pretty good there, so I don't see a big reason for them to bench him. Amir Abdullah, Ronnie Hillman, CJ Anderson, or Duke Johnson in a half PPR? I'm going to go with CJ Anderson still. I'm going to go with CJ Anderson. None of them are great options, but I still am going to go with CJ Anderson. Let me see here. I have Wilson at quarterback. I picked up Cutler. Should I play Cutler? Nah, I still think I would stick with Russell Wilson. I just don't think with Alshon Jeffrey and Eddie Royal being out, I don't think Cutler's got great options today. Marcus Wilson's an okay play if you're looking for just a stab in the dark or somebody you could play in your daily league. If you're on FanDuel or DraftKings or something like that, you could potentially get a really cheap wide receiver that's going to get a lot of targets today. But he could also completely bust. Who knows? It's really hard to know. Amir Abdullah or Duke Johnson? Duke Johnson, I feel like. Matt Ryan or Eli Manning? Definitely Matt Ryan today. I like Eli, though, but Matt Ryan's got a great matchup against Washington. Stafford or Vic? We already answered this one. We're going to go with Vic. Phillip Rivers or Manning? Now, I don't know which Manning you're talking about, so please specify when you're talking about Mannings or Murrays or Johnsons or Browns at wide receiver. Like, think about it, guys. There's a lot of guys that have these same names, so please help me out. At least use their initial. So Rivers or Manning? I am still probably going to go with Rivers, despite it doesn't matter which Manning that you're talking about. I have them ranked 5th, 6th, and 7th, though. So it's Phillip Rivers 5th, Peyton Manning 6th, and Eli Manning 7th. Cam Newton, Russell Wilson, or Marcus Mariota? Cam Newton, I feel like, is looking pretty darn good lately, to be honest with you. But obviously, he's not playing today, so you're not going to go with him. I'm trying to get through all these other ones here. Cam Newton or Matt Ryan? Definitely Matt Ryan. Gosh, there's a lot of questions, guys. Thank you so much for coming by today, guys. Rodgers or Brady? I don't know how you could be in that situation, but we're going to go with Brady, I guess. Benching Rodgers is ridiculous. You've got to trade one of those quarterbacks, man. You should not have two quarterbacks like that. You cannot be benching one of those quarterbacks each week. You just can't. You can't do it. You've got too much value there that you could trade for another position that you could start. Think about it. Chris Johnson or Andre Ellington? We already answered that one. Let's see here. What's up, Steven? Thanks for coming by. VY Electrify. Jimmy Graham or Jason Witten? I feel like this is probably closer than people want to admit that it is, but I am still going to go with Jimmy Graham. PPR, Charles Clay or Delanie Walker? I actually really like Charles Clay this week. I feel like he's got a real potential to put up good points this week with Sammy Watkins being out. So we're going to go with Charles Clay, although I do still think Delanie Walker is a top 10 play at tight end this week. Matt Ryan or Eli Manning? Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan's my number 2 quarterback this week, guys. So unless you're sitting there talking about Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady, then I would probably, well, I don't know. I mean, I might even still play Matt Ryan above Aaron Rodgers. But, yeah, I mean, he's an elite play. You're not benching Matt Ryan this week. Flex play, Amari Cooper, Carlos Hyde, or Kamar Aiken? Good question. That's from Jake Kelly. I'm going to go, gosh, man, all these guys are in tough situations right now, right? I mean, Amari Cooper would be the guy, I feel like, but he's going up against a tough Denver defense. I'm going to go with Carlos Hyde against the Giants. I feel like the potential is there for him to have a good game. Anquan Bolden or Tavon Austin, I've answered that like 6 times. Please stop asking the same question over and over and over again, guys, or else I'm going to have to ban you from the chat because it's just too difficult to read through other people's stuff, and then you won't be able to ask your questions in the future, so please don't do that. Last week, you made me lose, never listening to you again. We win some, we lose some, man. I'd have to know who the player was that you asked me about last week so I can really give you an explanation about what I was thinking or whatever, but it happens, man. There's luck in fantasy football to some extent. I'm never going to be 100% accurate, but we just try to be right more often than we're wrong, and I think that definitely happens. I would definitely say I'm batting above 500 on these questions this year. Kamar Aiken, Amari Cooper, or James Jones? Pick 2 of them. James Jones is definitely in, and we're going to go with Amari Cooper. I mean, Aiken's probably going to be lined up against Hayden all day, and he's not very talented to begin with. I like Aiken for the next couple of weeks. This week, it's a really tough matchup for him, so we're probably not playing him in many leagues. Jeremy Hill or Rashad Jennings? Definitely Jeremy Hill. Should I trade Carson Palmer for Tyrod Taylor? If you're getting Carson Palmer, I would do that trade. Jeremy Hill or Amir Abdullah? Jeremy Hill. Blake Bortles or Jameis Winston? Blake Bortles. John Brown, Ruben Randall, Martavis Bryant, Allen Hurns, half-point PPR. Martavis Bryant's not playing, so he's out, and then we're going to go John Brown and Ruben Randall. No, I feel like, John Brown and Allen Hurns. I forgot that Allen Hurns was in there. Yes, John Brown, Allen Hurns. DeMarco Murray, Ronnie Hillman, or C.J. Anderson. I've already answered that one a few times as well. Jameis Winston or Tyrod Taylor. Definitely Tyrod Taylor again, but I feel like Jameis Winston could break out. C.J. Anderson or Melvin Gordon? Let's go Melvin Gordon. I have them ranked back-to-back, just like I thought. I figured they were really, really close. Let's go Melvin Gordon, though. More of a potential to be the starter. It's an ugly situation for both those guys right now. In a 10-team full PPR league, pick 2, Duke Johnson, TJ Yeldon, and Melvin Gordon. Full PPR, we're going to go TJ Yeldon and Duke Johnson. Chris Johnson or Ellington? Chris Johnson again. I know a few people are probably going to be in that situation. Yeah, this many people are asking about Antonio Andrews, VY. Yes, it's crazy, isn't it, Steven? Pick 2 non-PPR, Amir Abdullah, Alfred Morris, Andre Ellington. Because it's non-PPR, obviously that helps out Alfred Morris a little bit. So we're going to go with Alfred Morris and Amir Abdullah, I guess. It's an ugly one, Daniel. That's an ugly one. Good luck, man. I don't love any of those guys this week. Calvin Johnson or Tavon Austin? Again, I already answered this one. Calvin is your guy. Sammy Watkins or Nelson Aguilar? Well, Watkins is probably not going to play, so we're going to go with Nelson Aguilar. Andy Dalton or Peyton Manning? Peyton Manning. C.J. Anderson or Melvin Gordon? Again, Gordon, ranked back-to-back. Hankerson or Aiken? Hankerson. C.J. Anderson or Ellington? I already answered that one for somebody else, but again, we're going to go C.J. Anderson, or not C.J. Anderson, Chris Johnson, C.J. 2K. Chris Johnson over Andre Ellington. Why is Carlos Hyde doing so horrible? I'm finally giving up on him and putting him on my bench. I feel like because they're behind a lot in games, their offense sucks, man. That team is bad. It really is. Carlos Hyde had a great week 1, and guys like Ryan915 were all about him. I was always a little bit skeptical because I feel like the Vikings aren't that good of a team. But and right now, if the Vikings and the 49ers played again on a neutral field, who do you think wins that game? I feel like it's probably the Vikings. But, they're not a great team either. So I feel like it was kind of like a weird situation that Hyde went off in week 1. I do feel like he's still got a good opportunity to do okay this week. The Giants are not very good, but it all depends on who your other matchups are, man. Who are your other running backs? I can't really answer that question on if you should play Carlos Hyde unless I know who your other possibilities are. But it all has to do, I feel like, with that team as a whole. They're behind a lot in games, and they're not that talented. Their offensive line is mediocre. What are you going to do? It's a tough situation for Hyde. Amir Abdullah or Duke Johnson? Let's go with Duke Johnson. I just got Calvin Johnson and Alfred Morris, and I gave up Allen Robinson and Chris Ivory. I also have Matt Jones. Good trade for me, right? You know what? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no because I feel like you're well, look, you're definitely getting the best piece in Calvin Johnson, in my opinion, of the trade. But I think the second and third best pieces of the trade very closely are Chris Ivory and Allen Robinson. And I feel like Alfred Morris is by far the worst piece of that trade because he's splitting carries between him, Chris Thompson, and your other guy, Matt Jones. So, I mean, it's possible that if Matt Jones or Alfred Morris gets hurt, that those guys are going to develop into a really good player for you. But until that happens, they're mediocre. I don't think you really want to start Alfred Morris right now. So I would say, Ethan, that I probably would not have done that trade in your situation. But good luck with it, man. Calvin's a stud. I don't blame you for wanting to trade and get the best player in the trade. At least you got the best player in the trade, which is Calvin Johnson. So even though I might not have done the trade, it's a little bit cushioned by you getting Calvin. Mark Ingram or Antonio Brown at flex. Again, I still think we're going to go with Mark Ingram. PPR, John Brown, Golden Tate, Anquan Bolden, or Ruben Randall. Pick 2. John Brown, well, frick, man, this is tough. None of those guys are really great options this week. Let's see here. Where do I have these guys ranked? I don't want to be a slave to my rankings or anything like that, but I mean, I think John Brown's definitely in, and then I think it's really between Golden Tate and Anquan Bolden. Yeah, I guess probably between those two, most likely. Well, you know what, man? I don't feel like it's that close, actually. We're gonna go Golden Tate, John Brown. I don't know. Definitely John Brown, though. All the other guys are pretty close, I feel like. Do I see any improvement coming for Jordan Matthews and the Eagles? Yes, I do. I think Jordan Matthews has a nice game this week. I have him ranked, I think, 10th at wide receiver or something like that. 8th at wide receiver. Justin Forsett or Todd Gurley. These guys are both good this week. Both good options. I have them ranked 7th and 10th. I got Justin Forsett ranked higher. In a PPR league, I like him even better. So, Forsett. Travis Kelce or Doug Baldwin in a PPR league. Travis Kelce, I guess. I have hiccups, guys. Sorry. Full PPR, Andre Ellington. I already answered that one. Oh, wait, no, I didn't. Andre Ellington, C.J. Anderson, T.J. Yeldon, and Danny Woodhead. Let's go with, gosh. You're making things hard on me, man. You're really making things hard on me. Let's go T.J. Yeldon and Danny Woodhead. Keenan Allen or Alshon Jeffrey. Alshon Jeffrey's out, so it's easily Keenan Allen, and it would be anyway. Anquan Bolden or Tavon Austin. Bolden. Chris Johnson, Amir Abdullah, Duke Johnson, and Matt Jones. Pick 2. We're going to go Chris Johnson and Duke Johnson. Jimmy Graham or Jason Witten. I already answered that one. Jimmy Graham. Greg Olsen or Jimmy Graham. Greg Olsen. PPR flex situation. I already answered that one for you. Need a tight end to fill in. Delaney Walker, Max Williams, or Gary Barnidge. Oh, man. I actually really like Gary Barnidge lately, but and I played him in back-to-back weeks, and he's done pretty darn well for me in a league. It's actually a 2-tight end, 12-team league. It's super disgusting at tight end. So I've had Gary Barnidge on my roster since, week 2, I think. But yeah, we're gonna go with Delaney Walker out of that grouping. But I do like Gary Barnidge. I think he could have a decent game today. Baltimore's not that good. PPR, Jamal Charles, Devonta Freeman. Why do you keep asking this question? You asked me to pick 3 and you send me 3 players. Obviously I'm gonna name all of them. Bernard or Sims at running back. Bernard. Pick 1, Alfred Morris or Thomas Rawls. Rawls, I think, is the one you want to go with there. I know it doesn't sound great, and he didn't do great last week, but that's probably the guy we're going with. CJ2K, Ellington, or Thomas Rawls. CJ2K. We check on the time, guys. We got about 5 minutes left, so thank you all again for coming by. I'm going to quick rapid fire all of these if I can. I'm not going to explain them. I'm just going to answer them. Who should I bet for? Green Bay or St. Louis? I'm not going to answer spread questions. John Brown or Pierre Garçon? John Brown. Chris Johnson, Amir Abdullah, Duke Johnson, Matt Jones, Chris Johnson, and Duke Johnson. Carson Palmer or Tyrod Taylor? Palmer. Who should I pick at halfback 1, halfback 2, and flex? Deion Lewis, Joseph Randle, Latavius Murray, DeMarco Murray, Chris Johnson. Deion Lewis is in, Joseph Randle's in, and it's between Latavius, DeMarco, and Chris Johnson. I don't really love any of them, but I guess Latavius, Chris Johnson or Deion Lewis. Deion Lewis. Joseph Randle or Jeremy Hill. Joseph Randle. Cam Newton or Matt Ryan? Well, I don't know why you keep asking this question. Cam Newton's on a bye. Please don't. Amir Abdullah or Jeremy Hill? Jeremy Hill. Kendall Wright or Boobie Dixon at flex? Kendall Wright. Charles Clay or Delaney Walker? Charles Clay. Leonard Hankerson or Tavon Austin? Hankerson. Rashad Jennings or Duke Johnson? Johnson. John Brown or Carlos Hyde? Hyde. Vic or Carr? Vic. Carlos Hyde, Amari Cooper or Kamar Aiken? Carlos Hyde. John Brown or Carlos Hyde? Carlos Hyde. Jeremy Hill or Joseph Randle? Jeremy Hill. No, Joseph Randle, excuse me. John Brown. Okay, I've already answered some of these. I'm trying to get through all of them, guys, but when people ask the same questions 15 times, it's very difficult. Hey, hi, Josh. Thanks for coming by, dude. Danny Woodhead or Alfred Morris in our 2 QB PPR league? Danny Woodhead, man. You got to go with the guy who can catch passes there, I think. So Woodhead over Morris. Good luck, Josh, but not better luck than me. I need to beat Ryan. John Brown or Pierre Garçon for wide receiver? Let's go with John Brown. Hey, Smack City, thanks for coming by, buddy. Sammy Watkins or Nelson Aguilar? Aguilar, because Watkins is out. John Brown or Carlos Hyde? Hyde. Hankerson or Kamar Aiken? Hankerson. Vic or Carr? Vic. Rawls or Eddie Royal? Rawls, definitely, because Royal is probably not going to play, and if he does, he won't be at 100%. All right, I'm just going to ban Benji, man. Sorry, buddy, you're too annoying. Fitz or Odell Beckham Jr.? Definitely Odell Beckham Jr. I understand Fitz has looked very good, but we got to go with the stud player, like physical ability at this point. But I do still like Larry Fitzgerald. I do. I have them ranked very close, 7 and 9, but Beckham's just got that upside, man. Let's see here. What else we got? Calvin or Vincent Jackson? Calvin, I feel like still. Vincent Jackson had the nice game last week, but I think this is Mike Evans' week. Bortles or Winston? Bortles. Brady or Rodgers? Again, Brady, but get rid of Rodgers or Brady. Trade one of them. Get something for them. Alex Smith or Blake Bortles? Bortles. Hillman, Gordon, Abdullah in a standard scoring league. Let's go with... we're going to go with Gordon. Freeman and Bell. And I got both in my lineup. Obviously, Le'Veon Bell. If you had to pick between Freeman and Bell, Bell. Andre Ellington or Rashad Jennings or Duke Johnson? Let's go with Duke Johnson. Blunt or Fred Jackson? Blunt. Yeah, thanks, Josh. Sorry, man. I didn't see this until now, but I definitely will make you a mod. Sorry about that, homie. Thanks for coming by, Vacillate. Fitz or Odell Beckham Jr.? I already answered that one. I would go with Beckham. Mari Cooper or Martavis Bryant? Again, Martavis Bryant's out. Mari Cooper is your guy. Rivers or Andy Dalton? Rivers. Can I mention you? Yes. Fat Mike TV. Thank you for the question. Phillip Rivers. Macklin, Dion Lewis, or Kamar Aiken? Ooh, I really like Macklin this week, but it's non-PPR, so we're going to go with Dion Lewis. Andy Dalton or Peyton Manning? Peyton. My daughter is great. Parth, thanks for asking. DeMarco Murray, Dion Lewis, Latavius Murray, Joseph Randle, and Chris Johnson. Choose 3. Dion Lewis, Joseph Randle, Latavius Murray. I think I already answered that one. Gosh, this is so many questions, guys. So many people spamming the same thing 50 times. Please don't do that. Thomas Rawls or Eddie Royal? Rawls, because Royal's not playing. Macklin, Aiken, or Dion Lewis? Again, I already answered that. I'm just going to scroll down, guys. Sorry. Thomas Rawls or John Brown? Rawls. No, John Brown. Ah, God, they're close. They're close, man. John Brown, though. We're going to go with John Brown. Do I drop Amir Abdullah for Antonio Andrews for a sneaky pickup? Probably not this week because it's a tough matchup for Andrews, but you could consider it. I don't really love it, though. Delaney Walker or Travis Kelce? We're still going to go with Kelce. Hill, Gurley, or Randall? Gurley. Dion Lewis or Chris Johnson? Lewis. Help, click what I need to. Randall, OBJ, or Larry Fitz? Definitely. Oh, Cobb, too. Man, you have three really good options there. Cobb's definitely one. And then it's between OBJ and Fitz, and we're going to go with OBJ. Julius Thomas or Ladarius Green? I guess Julius Thomas, because Green's going to be behind Gates. Yeah, I know the Giants have given up the least rushing yardage of anybody in the NFL, but that's situational. They're not a good defense. They're the worst against the pass and the best against the run. But again, it's situational. It's because they're so bad against the pass that teams haven't had to run against them. And they've played a few teams that are definitely pass heavy. So I think that statistic is a little bit overrated, Ian. Yes, I did mention that Marshawn is out, Smack City. Antonio Andrews, Andre Ellington, or Andre Williams? Let's go with Antonio Andrews. Cooper, Cooks, T. Willie, or Golden Tate? Cooks. TJ Yeldon, Freeman, DeMarco. Freeman. Should you start all three? Yeah, you should. Well, no. You should play Allen Robinson over DeMarco Murray. John Dixon. Thomas Rawls, Tyler Lockett, or Eddie Royal? Let's go with Rawls. Dion Lewis, Joseph. Okay, pick two. Dion Lewis, Joseph Randall, Hill, and Gurley. Dion Lewis and Gurley. Alfred Morris or Melvin Gordon? Gordon. Got only a few more questions this morning, guys. Sorry I can't get to all of them. There's just a lot of questions today. I mean, I appreciate it, guys. Try to get through as many as I could, but it's difficult, man. It's difficult. Edelman or Fitzgerald. Hopefully we'll be able to stop some of these spammers. The more guys that come by every week and I get to know you guys, I'm going to be able to make you guys mods, and then we can ban or at least time out some of these guys that spam the same question 50 times in a row and make it really difficult on me to answer your questions, because that's the thing that's taken the longest, man, is skipping through these. It's so difficult. I have to answer the same question 10 times because people just keep spamming. Tyrod Taylor, Russell Wilson, or Andy Dalton? Tyrod, no. God. You guys keep asking me such tough questions. I'm going to go with Russell Wilson, though, man. Russell Wilson. I don't love it, but we're going to go with Russell Wilson. Edelman or James Jones? Edelman, especially in a PPR. He's just looked really good. What do I think about trading away Randall Cobb and Martellus Bennett for Calvin? I would not do that. You could argue that that Cobb is better than Calvin right now. Oh, Martellus Bennett, not Martavis Bryant. Yeah, I would still not do it. Jeremy Hill or Rashad Jennings? Hill. Is Boobie Dixon the move? I don't know. It depends on who your other options are, man. Blunt or Dion Lewis? Lewis. Cooper, Latavius Murray, or DeMarco Murray at flex? Latavius. Julius Thomas or Ladarius Green? Again, Julius Thomas. Andy Dalton or Drew Brees? Brees. Hyde or Rashad Jennings? Hyde. Tyrod Taylor, Russell Wilson, or Andy Dalton? Tyrod. No, we're going to go with Russell Wilson. Edelman or Fitz? Fitz. Unless it's full PP. No, you know what? We're just going to go Edelman. If it's a standard scoring league, you could potentially go with Fitzgerald over Edelman. But if it's full PPR or half PPR, I'm going to go with Edelman. He just gets targeted way too much. I'm gonna post my rankings here one more time, guys, in the chat. If I didn't get to your question, go on there and check them out. Yeah, you guys are very welcome. Thank you so much for all the support. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate all of you guys coming by. All right, guys. I know we've got a ton of questions. I'm just gonna go to the bottom here and read them if I can. Sorry again if I missed your question. It's just too many questions coming in, guys. So LeGarrette Blount or Todd Gurley, Gurley, Dalton or Matt Ryan, Ryan, Kendall Wright or Leonard Hankerson, Wright, Pierre Garçon or John Brown, John Brown. I've already answered that one though. Mari Cooper, Latavius or DeMarco, Latavius. Yeah, thank you guys for coming by today. Justin Forsett or Jeremy Hill, Forsett. Rawls or Hankerson in a PPR. I think that helps Hankerson. I really do. I'm still probably going to go with Rawls, though. Well, God. Where do I have Hankerson ranked right now? Yeah, I'm still going to go with Rawls today. I don't love it, but you got to do it. I traded Bell for Le'Veon Bell, I'm assuming, for Dion Lewis, Brady, and Ivory. Yeah, I think that's a great trade, man. If you have to give up Le'Veon Bell, you're getting 3 really good players. So, yeah, I like it. Russell Wilson or Andy Dalton, Wilson. Golden Tate or Cooper, Cooks or T-Will. Cooks of that group. Going to scroll back down to the bottom. Is this the wrong time to ask about trades? It is. I'm sorry. You don't have time to get it done anyway before the thing is over, before the game starts. So, yeah. It is the wrong time to ask about trades. But ask me them on Twitter, and I'll be glad to answer them. Rashad Jennings or Chris Johnson. Chris Johnson. Matthews or Stewart in a PPR. Matthews, I guess. Eifert or Bennett. Eifert. Or you know what? You know what? We're gonna go with Martellus Bennett because the wide receivers are out. So Martellus Bennett over Eifert. CJ Anderson or DeMarco Murray. You said just Murray. I got to know which Murray you're talking about. If it's DeMarco, I'm probably going to go with CJ Anderson. And if it's God, I don't know. Yeah, I would probably go with CJ Anderson above DeMarco right now based on the situation. But if it's Latavius, go with Latavius. Keenan Allen or Amari Cooper in a standard. Definitely Allen. Does Tebow have fantasy value? Obviously not. He's not rostered. Bortles or Jameis Winston or Eli Manning? Eli. All right, guys, I got to go. Thank you so much for all the support, guys. Hope you enjoyed the stream today. Good luck in your fantasy leagues. I really apologize to everybody if I didn't get to your questions. I'll do better next week, I promise. We're going to be just banning people. If I see you ask the same question more than twice or more than 3 times, I'm going to just ban you next week because it's too difficult to get through. I apologize to everybody else who did the right thing and I didn't get to your questions. My sincerest apologies. I will do my best to get to them next week. Thank you so much again for all the support, guys. Hope you enjoyed the show. Come by again next week, and we'll try and help you out even more. Thank you, guys. Good luck. Bye-bye.